Just not gonna find anything.
Yeah, we're doing the same, man. Hey, we're gonna go that way.
He's scared of me.
Maybe right side, okay?
Having a little bit of
The
a
only one.
little bit of friendly banter here.
I've got to wait. Yep. I'm and my friend. Keep going.
That's your man, Poon Anders. You're a Texas Caster and Hype Master, right, Knight?
And your caster extraordinaire, Nightfire with 2 E's. How we doing today, Poon?
Oh, I am getting lit. We have been recording videos all day long. I'm doing what I can, and we've got Vivian behind the scenes telling us what to do. She doesn't want to tell us what to do, but we're gonna tell her how to tell us what to do, right? No, I don't. Anyway, moving on. We're just gonna jump right into it because there's so much to cover. So we have Sinister Pride versus Lords of War, which I will make it say that now. Lords of War made it 2 wins in a row as they continued their climb up the league standings with a hard-fought victory versus Sinister Pride. The Lords of War came out of the gates firing on all cylinders to take the first map 4-0. However, Sinister Pride was starting up their own engine by taking a commanding 3-1 lead on the second and third map, only to see Lords of War come all the way back to win it on the final 2 maps. 4-3 for a great comeback. Ended up winning 12-6 going to Lord of War.
Yeah, Lords of War are looking good this season. Honestly, they're on a 4-game win streak right now, I believe. So they're definitely a team to keep an eye out for. And they definitely have been coming back a couple of times. So I'm not surprised to see that happen. But for it to happen twice on Suburbia and Cargo, nonetheless, you definitely can't sleep on Lords of War when you got a lead on.
Oh, I love watching new up-and-comer guys. And Lords of War living up to their name. It's exciting. Almost exciting as Rome versus Cold Steel. Rome started out the season losing to Mob Squad at the start of the season, 4-12. But they quickly got back on track. Unfortunately, they didn't have their full squad for the first few matches, hence the rockiness. But as the 13-0 score came in, a confidence in the team increased. Cold Steel isn't a team to take it easy, but with good coordination and awareness, Rome was able to leave the match, giving away no rounds and barely any deaths, going 13-0.
Gosh, that is a tough pill to swallow early in the season. That's a hard MMR loss right there. It's the last thing you want.
Exactly, but the points will show it. And when we looked at the standing boards, the standings as they stand, we're only 3 weeks in, but we looked at the standings and we're like, ooh, that's kind of ugly. They're below the top 4. It's just like, what is happening? But you know, points are points. Speaking of points, Colettos have them on the ends of their shoes as they go up against the Hand of Death. Hey, I could do segues sometimes. This was the Colettos' first game of the season with Control, Flirt, Delete, and Fenoram returning for Season 8, and they welcome new players, Matadors and Tiagra. Tanagra. They look forward to the match, as Hand of Death was a favorite match of theirs last season. Hand of Death ultimately won the match, taking Suburbia and Downfall, but not before the Colettos won Cargo 4-1. They took it. With Matadors capping out with those fast fingers, typing in those codes, knowing the Wi-Fi password. It was a loss overall, but in their first season, they went 27 games before they got just their first map. So this is progress, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is a great step forward for the Colettos. I think they're going to get a couple of maps at the very least, maybe even a series. I think Colettos can get the first series this. Oh, they already won a series.
Spoiler alert! That's next week. The Hand of Death wins this series 10-4. But as was spoiled for us by our fearless director, they did take one. So moving on to Globachem versus SMC Tactical. This is a standard match for Globachem, starting out a little rocky, but completely pulling away. They did have this really fun moment where the Globachem just got almost completely wiped, and it came down to Thunder Pilot to save it all in this wonderful set of clips we have for you.
Yeah, this is a really typical global chem play, I guess. I mean, well, actually not typical because they all die so early. SMC Tactical manages to take down this global chem push in the smoke. They find all of this early pushing from Pants. Everybody dies in the center, and then it's all up to Thunder Pilot, who does get one here and then starts to patiently mount his comeback. And I think it's over the course of 2 or 3 minutes that he takes.
It's almost
two
the whole
down.
clock, yeah.
He takes 2 down here that he's looking at, and then the next clip that we get into is him finalizing the round. And I mean, it's just unreal that he manages to get all 4 of them and then kill, and then to have it be a 1v1 trade and then win it is just like, that's the best comeback I've seen in a long time.
Oh yeah, quite the comeback. Global Chem ends up winning the series 12-3. Brilliant moves with Thunder Pilot. I mean, if you're going to see it from somebody, it's going to be Thunder Pilot.
Oh, yeah.
But what's crazy is Thunder Pilot's been busy with like night shifts in his like medical internship and also trying to take the boards. Absolutely surprising that he still had the energy and wherewithal to go 4v1. But I imagine, I guess he's just, on adrenaline, caffeine, and lack of sleep fumes fueling him through the day. Yeah. Speaking of fuel, Blaze versus G-Man. So wonderfully close match with Blaze sporting their newer member, Silent Knight, from the conspiracy video earlier with some of those trades. They went into this match real hard with him pulling out a cap on the first round. They lose the next round, but take it 3-1, and G-Man put all engines to max throttle for the 3-4 combat. With the final map, Naoko makes an incredible lucky cap to pull it to a 3-3 after being down 1-3. Blaze pick up the next round to win the map. Alas, G-Men still take the match. Let's take a look at these clips.
Yeah, it was a really nice comeback from G-Men, and this is actually kind of them starting off so horribly because Blaze get a cap here. It is the distraction that happened over at gas station where G-Men were picking up a shield, and they invested too heavily in that far gas station side, and they completely forgot to cover objectives. So Silent Knight able to sit here and start off the series 2-0. It's just, I thought this was series over for G-Man.
Like, did you guys forget
start off like this?
Did they forget they were on defense?
I don't know. I'm not sure what happened, but there was a bunch of caps. A lot of nice caps that did happen. G-Man ultimately winning the series, but Blaze just putting together a series of nice rotations, and this was another great one where they managed to get the smokes into the right position, and then Naoko just diving in through the smokes, ditching the shield when he gets close to the objective, and committing to the code. And I barely saw this coming, and I can tell you G-Men never saw it coming. Dr. Leo Marvin, who had an angle there, actually a couple of players really just completely missed it.
Yes, G-Men ultimately win that series 11-10. So close.
Real close.
Oh, man. So moving on to Loyal Dogs versus VRAF. Loyal Dogs, a new team. I saw them showing up with branding, and they were showing up with esports jerseys, all of their social medias in Spanish. I'm not entirely sure where they're from. This was not an uncasted match. It was not a casted match, not an uncasted match. Anyway, but this is Loyal Dogs Esports' forced match, as we were saying, and they were brutalized on those first 2 maps. As is standard procedure for new teams with new players that come into the league, that they come in, they're like, hey, we'll probably be able to keep our own. And I was like, you're at the bottom. I mean, you start there because you're a brand new team, and you're about to find out. I mean, Colettos did. They knew what they were in for, and they're starting to climb. They're starting to climb that ladder this season. But that your first season is usually not going to be a pretty one unless you're made up of a lot of veterans and just have a name that pretends like you're new. They did make a comeback on Cargo with 4-0, so not too shabby there. Unless VRAF were just like, hey, we already won.
Right.
VRAF
third map can kind of.
Yeah, I do see that on some of the top teams that like on the third map after they've won it, like especially with a bunch of blowouts, they're like, man, we're good. It's good sportsmanship though. It's nice to do that. Not to just completely dunk on them when it's unnecessary. VRAF win the series 10-4. This leads us to Ember versus Phoenix. Two fiery teams, not both Inferno Brotherhood. I keep trying to say Phoenix is, but they're not. I'm trying to lure them in. Ember taking down Phoenix is a very impressive. It's a good milestone for them, considering that they lost 11-5 back when they first joined Season 6. Hellfire is killing it as captain this season, so showing off this awesome victory. Let's take a look at these clips.
Yeah, we got some good nades, some good plays. Quokka of Ember throwing an excellent nade here. You barely catch it off the back of the screen, but it hits Raz in the back, and it was a nice lob from over 2 walls, I believe. You can see the arc there, just tail end. But yeah, good toss with that shield. you love seeing good nade kills.
You guys are surgeons with these grenades and Onward now. It's insane.
Yeah, it's really wild. That's the nade of the week too. Yeah. Really nice toss. And then this is a real. This one was so close. If you see real closely, there's one up in the White House right there, and Malino's punching in the code, and he gets so close to entering it in before getting picked off by C-Max.
That's like what was that guy's visual acuity? Like 4 pixels?
Yeah, it's. A really clutch pick, to say the least.
Yes. He's like, I'm just looking for just the slightest movement. I'm trying to shoot a fly from like 100 yards. Anyway, Ember win the series 11-7, which leads us to GOE versus Fury. That is gunning on empty, if I remember serves correctly. Yep, there it is, gunning on empty. Coming into week 3, this is the first time that gunning on empty and Fury have faced off against each other. Coming off a close victory from last week, gunning on empty wasted no time in this match by getting a cap right out of the gate on downfall in the first round of the match. However, it appeared gunning on empty settled in and just kind of ended up taking the map 4-0, and that they were just going to ride on through. Map 2 was Fury's pick on Subway, though, and perhaps being a little bit over aggressive, gunning on empty ended up going for a quick cap and lost 3 members in the tunnels, with Fury taking the round. Now, I mean, it's Subway. You're going to lose 3 people in the tunnels. It just happens. However, GOE came back strong with a win on the map 4-0, which was concluded with the second map of the series, and with North Stairs Objective, which is the one that you can take in Subway. It's like literally the only one. With the last map being Quarantine, GOE continue their cap streak and pick up the individual rounds for the strong match win, going 12-2, which leads us into Dead Logic versus VRAth. As Buxton would say, not too much to say about this one, other than VRAth has definitely come a long way with how well they're playing this season. Taking the last map off Dead Logic just barely, though Dead Logic did win overall. Both teams seem to be having a good time too, as seen in these clips we're going to watch.
Oh yeah, we have a real interesting shield battle to start it off here. You don't usually see these just because it's hard to get a shield into both sides. But there's a Volk defender with a shield. They both see each other, and you just get the most awkward of trades here as they just Snowbird eventually commits. He pushes forward, the pistol up over the top of the shield. He's trying to shoot, and it's just chaos here as they both just commit to trying to fire over their shields. And finally, Gattaca.
It's rare, but y'all have to have like a yakety sax soundboard when that happens.
Yeah, that was real something. And then this one, Neox picking up a cap on the other side of the map. Just a really nice job from Dead Logic. It's so hard to. This team is looking really good this season. So they're a team to watch. Them and
Vikings?
No, who was it? We were just talking. Lords of War.
Oh yes, Lords of War.
But yeah, a nice cap there as he sneaks it in, and just these caps have been there's been a lot of caps coming in. And if you remember the clip from the start of the show was also from that series. So that's there's just a lot of real interesting action going on in that one today.
You know what? That's Onward, an endless source of entertainment, and it's why it continues to stay after all this time, considering all the really pretty looking and nice and fun to play VR FPS games that have sort of like come and disappeared. Dead Logic ended up winning that series 11-7. Very good match. That leads us into Mayhem versus Legionnaires. Mayhem come into the series strong from their previous wins, but had a rough start on Quarantine. On the dual match point with Mayhem as Marsoc, they prove they are a force to be reckoned with, as they end the map with a cap on all 5 members still up. Like, they didn't lose a single person, and they got the cap. Now, you were talking about like crazy caps that happened this season, but maintaining all 5 of your guys as you do it, and it wasn't like, something random, some random map that, I mean, like, you can have all 5 of your guys up as defense on Subway, but all 5 of your guys up on Quarantine in a cap. I mean,
it's interesting.
They were playing Legionnaires. They weren't playing like somebody new.
Yeah, the only other time I've seen it was with beginners on Quarantine, where they had 5 on objective. It doesn't happen very often, but it's odd that it's happened twice now on Quarantine this season. So I don't know what's going on. 360
dunk.
Yeah.
Anyway, the two teams duke it out on Cargo in another close game coming down to the wire. Legionnaires had great plays, but Mayhem closed the map 4-3. Mayhem continued their streak on Bazaar with Potato Bot on a rampage, taking down 4 of the defense before proclaiming, "I'm done. I'm going home." We're leaving the audio on for that clip so you can see him say it. Both teams play well with a good coordination and comms, but ultimately Mayhem sweeps the series with a 3-map win with a final score of 13-7. Mayhem dubbed James Bach their MVP with 19 kills, 1 cap, 1 revive, and Potato Bot and Defilade trail him with an impressive 19 and 18 kills respectively. Let's take a look.
That is some insane numbers. In this clip, a pretty interesting one. Again, another cap attempt. This one a little bit more successful as Zarek does dive in on this objective. And this one is such a hairy objective. I always talk about at the start of rounds this one being cappable because there's so many different angles that you have to cover from. And Zarek takes advantage of capping on the other side of the wall. The defender had to rotate around and couldn't get there in time. Puts his team into a tie.
That'll teach him.
Oh, yeah.
Round number 3.
And this is that incredible play from Potato Bot. It takes him a bit to get to it. But Potato Bot steps up into that 2-story, and he'll find the entire team for this clip. I think it's the play of the week.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Let's
They
give a
headed
listen.
south Anyway.
Raider and Potato Bot gonna meet up right here. Nope.
Going to provide commentary on Noman, providing commentary.
DMT do meet up. Potato Bot taking down Miyagi as he crosses into that front room.
That's Trip.
Now is he gonna get the guy on the stairs? He does. Raider goes
Oh, it
down.
is Trip, yeah.
That's 5 members of Mayhem up. 2 members of Legionnaires. They have gone down. I can't say that joke on the air. Never mind. Potato Bot taking down Eric. And he's been doing some work. That's what, 3 kills for him now? Kagan
yes.
trying to pick him up. He can't get him. And 4 kills. Potato Bot just wiped out the entire team. Wow.
I'm going home.
Just brutal.
Yeah, I'd be heading home after that too. And then for our final clip of the series, Technic gets the final kill of the match to win it for Mayhem. An angel from above here as he dives down to find Raider. Mayhem just looking good in the series. 13-7 total scoreline.
Yeah, that's right. Living up to their name, getting that 13-7, as you said. That leads us on to the next round that we're going to cover. And as it says in quotes that I'm not supposed to read, this is going to be long. It's an incredible match to behold between Dead Logic and Beginners. It was very close rounds, incredibly nerve-wracking, trying to win the map with a cap. But Downfall was a surprise pick by Dead Logic for Beginners. Dead Logic capped twice on them due to some slightly slow rotations. And slow rotations, not entirely out of the realm of possibility for Beginners. Please don't be upset. Slow, some nades exploding a second too late, and quick moves from Dead Logic. Beginners pushed strong on Marsak and held tight angles on Volk. Letting them pick up 3 rounds back-to-back had Dead Logic on their stomachs, struggling hard to keep their defense strong. But Neox did manage to get that clutch cap with 5 members of Beginners still alive due to insanely lucky timing, which we have been seeing more of that. Other people figuring out that SMC tactic of just like super lucky timing. I just felt it. It felt right.
Yep.
Bizarre.
A lot more committing to those crazy caps.
You're just walking in. It's like, I got this. No one's going to kill me. It's like, if you act natural, they'll assume you're supposed to be there. And then on Bazaar, Dead Logic tried to carry the capping momentum into it, but unfortunately, it just didn't quite happen with Beginners picking up all 3 rounds to start. They lost 1 due to some solid defense from Dead Logic, but they got the final map cap clean. They ended up going 12-5 against Beginners. I mean, at the very beginning of it, when you see Dead Logic, what they did to Beginners, you're just like, whoa. Yeah. Are they going to take down Beginners? And then it very quickly trails off after that. Yeah. But it was still a close match and exciting to see people come into Beginners and watch Beginners sort of step up. I watched Beginners play a lot over the last several seasons. And you watch them take like a methodical approach to people. Like they don't ever just assume that the team that they're going to play against is like scrubs, like they can just sort of like mess with them. They're very respectful in the way that they play. But I've noticed, especially this last season, that they have a whole dial-up or ramp-up mechanic where they can really rush on people and do something that they don't expect if the moment calls for it. And you'll see that. Like if somebody gets some points on them and gets some caps on them, they're like, all right, we're switching the play. It's blitz time or something like that. And then they'll dial it back once they realize, like, okay, we got them off kilter. They feel the pain. We can go right back to our regular take your time plays. And It's a very smart way to play, but it can be rough as a caster to try to fill for 5 minutes when everybody tries to get into position. Moving on to Boss Fight versus Vikings. This is a big upset. Vikings take down Boss Fight, which was unexpected. Even though we have seen them play really well last season, both in VRL and VRML. They struggled on the first map with Boss Fight taking it reasonably well, but Bazaar was a strong victory for Vikings, with Downfall being a little less successful, albeit still a map, and thus a match win for Vikings.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a surprise to have Vikings come out ahead and end up winning against Boss Fight. In our first clip, we'll see Vikings celebrating their strong start on Bazaar with a little dabbing, something you really only get in VR.
Yeah, well, everyone knows that dabbing gives you +3 to accuracy. That's just that's in the bylaws.
Yeah, ultra important. Our next clip, on to Downfall, Spoilty, facing off against Sharku in the 3-story in the center of Downfall here, and it's a little bit of a slow burn, but these close trades have been happening more and more inside these buildings. I'm expecting to start to see flashbangs get thrown around here as teams try and round corners, and
we saw a lot of excellent usage of flashbangs last week. I was hoping to see more this week.
Yeah, I do expect to see some, but either way, a nice little 20 seconds to the end of the match as Scorpio gets pretty close to the objective after killing a defender while Vikings lock onto his position. You can see him crashing in around the other side of the wall there, picking off Femi. And then he goes in to cap, but the clock is ticking down, and he doesn't have enough time. And this is, I think, one of the first times we've seen this season where a team doesn't utilize their time effectively and can't cap because of it.
Yeah, absolutely amazing play. Vikings end up winning that series 10-8, so real close. And, finally seeing Vikings in a brand new season against Boss Fight actually being able to take them out. Now, granted, it is early weeks. We've seen Boss Fight not do well in early weeks and then do well later on. We see top teams do that sometimes. We're like early on, they got rust to shake off. They were too busy playing other games. They didn't really come in too seriously. And then these guys who've been practicing in the offseason come in. They're like, okay, we'll get back to scrimming. And then they step it up towards the end of the season to take the top spots. That leads us into watching two guys we'd already talked about playing another match, Blaze versus Mayhem. And I have quite the write-up to read for you guys in I'm going to try to find the best possible speed to read this. I think Banshee speed? Right. Okay. Blaze was the first diamond level match for Mayhem this season. Unfortunately, it wasn't cast as there were some great moments. Map 1, Cargo Blaze pick. Mayhem came out strong on Cargo, winning this first 2 fuel tank objective rounds. Despite a mid-round disconnect from one team member, they lost a round due to a slip-up, but held out strong on defense with an amazing final effort from Wookie and Defilade to take the map. Now on map 2, that would be Quarantine in the daytime, Mayhem actually picked that one out. The first round it went pretty rough for Mayhem, with Defilade having tech issues, and they had to pull out a second reservist at the last minute, throwing off plans for the team. Those tech issues will get you every time. Yeah. Defilade then rejoined for the rest of the map, and Mayhem regrouped, trading defensive wins before breaking through and managing to pick up the map. Now, Defilade apparently is the linchpin in that team, so all you got to do is just set up like some DDoS attacks on him, and I'll get you there. So that leads us to the last map, map 3, Suburbia Night. Blaze actually picked this one out. Mayhem haven't played many night maps, but they've learned to love them. They had a poor first defense coming back to win the next 4 rounds. Some special moments on map 3, James Bach taking out 4 on White Car objective, offense to help their team regroup. L Vegas, one of the reservists, left all alone against 3 defenders on the tank objective, and he proceeded to pick them all off. The top stats were James Bach with 17 kills, Defilade with 16 kills, and 6 revives. And wow. It was like, how do you do that? And overall, 13 revives in the match from Mayhem's side. So they got really good with their syringes. These guys know their way around some needles. Double taps could have changed the outcome, but unfortunately they were not employed. I believe Blaze will employ those next time. Mayhem end up winning the series 12-4.
Lesson learned. You gotta send a few extra rounds into those bodies.
Yeah, that was fun to read, actually. I'm not going to lie. I love these write-ups that we get from the captains when they give us like these beautiful ones. I had one where the write-up that he wrote was not going to fit in Dawkins' match recap list, so he sends me a Word doc, and I'm like, and I just replied, I was like, Buxton writes the show, send it to him.
Buxton.
Yeah. So that leads us on to the next one. This would be Amber versus Lords of War, as the big screen says. Lords of War faced a tough challenge from Amber, who were fresh off their fantastic win over Phoenix that we just talked about 48 hours before this one. You got it in 5 minutes, happened 48 hours for them. Both teams have become very friendly over the past several months, and it was seen immediately when all 10 players took the first 40 seconds in the first round 2. I'm going to stop here and not spoil it for you because we're going to show you this video. After that, however, the match was dominated by Lords of War's speed and aggression with a final score of 13-3. The victory was very bittersweet, though. They were happy, they said, that they wanted to win. However, doing so felt kind of bad because they were all friends with the Ember 10 members, and they become very good friends. It was difficult once it was over, and as he said, I know that we haven't seen the last of Ember for this season, as they are one of the hardest working teams I've come across in the league. That's Call Me Fitz, the captain of Lords of War. Yeah. Let's take a look at this, secret I didn't want to spoil.
I'm glad
This
you
rush.
didn't, because it was a surprise for me as I was calling out a rush in the middle. I thought we were going to have
Both
a
teams
5v5.
rushing, and you never see this. You never see anybody do this.
No, I've never seen this happen. I thought certain death, and then hugs for all in the center after 40 seconds.
I'm not gonna lie. 5 guys rush into the center just to kill and see which way the wind goes would actually also be kind of funny.
Yeah, I suppose we'll see knife starts next time.
Or
But
just
either way,
everybody walking in with C4 on their chest.
a good-natured hug, and then a nice cap stop here from Lords of War leading into their map win. SliderCon, I mean, we've seen a lot of long cap attempts here, taking so long to try to enter in the code. Gives Fitz enough time to wrap around.
He
find
uppercut
one.
him with that shot. You see what he did? He turned the gun upwards to shoot him in the face.
I think he finds Rob here as well. So Fitz with a nice hold to get Lords of War the map. And yeah, they really took it to Ember. It was a very solid performance. Here we have High Voltage eventually getting the cap himself. Again, another insanely long cap attempt, this time on the side of Ember. And you can see, I mean, the timer's ticking down. I think it was 25 or maybe even longer, 30 seconds for him to punch in this code. And it took so much time that eventually his teammates who are covering him, covering different angles, decide that maybe he needs some help. So Gunrama opts to, maybe he'll get the pad out. Something's going on with Voltage. His fingers have gone numb. He can't punch in the code. And so he tries to enter it in, and eventually Voltage submits to capping the code and shoots himself.
He commits Sudoku, yes, yeah.
Yeah. And then another cap here from Lords of War. A bit of a James Bond tactic as Fitz starts to approach objective. You'll see him pull out pad and pistol. So he still does have the option to shoot anybody that he spots close quarters, but ultimately he is going for that objective cap, and he doesn't want to have to pull the pad out once he gets there.
These kinematics are great.
It's really like a style thing. He could have the rifle here, and then once he gets to this position, swap to pad. But either way, it works, and Fitz ends up sneaking right into the objective room and capping underneath 2 that are still alive on Ember.
Oh man, absolutely exciting gameplay coming in from those guys. Lords of War end up taking the series 13-3, but just really showing off what the Lords of War can do. As you said, they are the up and coming, the team to watch right now, and they're showing off what they can do. Man, just people forgetting how their fingers work. During that whole mode, all I wanted to say was, don't do drugs, kids. At least not during tournament play. Only the sickness is allowed to do that, because it allows him to read the field and just walk right in and get a cap. So it works for him, but the rest of you guys lay off that stuff, at least during tournament play. So that is all we have for the coverage for the week, at least of the individual play-by-play and how the matches went. So thank all of you guys for sending that in and for keeping us flush with clips. It was really good. So many people working on this one. And speaking of all the people working on this one, we had the Hive actually give us the latest buzz on people from the VRML. This is something that they're going to do each week. They are going to start talking to people in the league and doing interviews. So this week we had Vivian, Pink, and Edna get together for a fun chat. Everything from Landon Smelly Socks to the teams that they would love to play with. We have a small clip for you to watch, but the full interview we will have linked in the description and at the end of the show.
I wouldn't mind playing for like Huni's team, because
Space Force.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then,
tell us why.
Like Danglers is cool. I love Stumpy, and
Stumps is great. I would 100% pick Danglers, but
I
it's just
think-
because
I
I
think
know them all
Danglers
really
is-
well.
yeah.
I would play with Danglers too. I think everyone would. I think that they hear that a lot. If I was on the
Yeah.
Danglers, blah blah blah. Well, they're just like
they're so aggressive and like, I don't want to say mean to each other, but they're like brothers, and I think that vibe they have is just really cool. Where they're just like big brothers, essentially, that just like rag on each other and stuff, and they have a really cool vibe. I like them all. They're all cool people. Like,
That's such
it's
a nice
fun
way to
team.
put it. I feel like the Danglers
Yeah.
they're like a bunch of people in prison, and they all belong there. They know it, and but they're trying to get out, and they have to count on each other. But they all know that the other one's a criminal, so that's how they are. I mean, when I get in a lobby, I love it because they're always trying to kick each other. It's hilarious. There's always
And then when it goes through, they're like, "Wait, invade him back! Invade him back!"
it's hilarious. It's always
They like blame it on each other, like you did it, like you kicked him.
no, they don't even have to say anything. They're just like it's just automatically boom, boom.
So let's take a look at that. It's a very good interview. You can check out the rest of the interview in the description. Let's take a look at the standings as they go for this season. As we're only 3 weeks in, the usual suspects taking out the top 4. I see no boss fight. I see no Blaze. I see no Ember sitting in the top 10 at all. What is going on? Is it just how badly they lost in the beginning, or is it just because it's early season? Come on, Nightfire. I know that you, even though you don't know exactly how the MMR works, you have a feeling about how it might work.
You know, I think that it's just a lot of teams taking challenges early. Some teams have up to 6 games already, and we're only into week 3. I think we just finished, or we're into week 4 now. We just finished week 3. And some teams have already played 6 matches, so they played 2 games a week.
It's like a lot of them think the season might suddenly be cut short.
Yeah, they are really. I think a lot of teams are just thirsty for that early MMR game. They know that now is the time to get that early footing.
It's true.
So I think
It's
you're
true.
seeing teams trying to get that early footing so that they don't have to fight for it as hard later on when those MMR numbers are a little bit more set in stone.
Yeah. That actually makes complete sense. That's the new meta. Practice during the off season so that you can wreck in the first 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Well, that is all we have on the show for you guys today. Thanks to all of our players and viewers for supporting the show. Show us some love in the comments. Get a conversation going. Tell us what we need to who we need to talk to next. The Hive will get on that. Tell us something that we need to cover. If there's like some casted clips or something like that you want to send to us to make sure that we cover on the show, send it our way. Definitely tag Buxton on those tweets to let us know. It helps us get more exposure to the show for people who don't know about the league.
Oh yeah, keep the clips coming. Even if your match was uncasted, you can still send up clips from players that streamed it. We're always looking for more great highlights.
That's right. Again, I am Poonanders, joined by Nightfire with 2 E's.
Oh yeah, trademark. TM'd. Yeah, this show is brought to you by VREspawn.com, your only source for VR esports news. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow us on Twitter to stay up to date.
That's right. This episode was written by Buxton with the help of the Pink Stingray and Vivian, as well as all of our team captains with incredible write-ups. Everyone is building the show now. It's the dream. Vivian was also tonight's director, so you get the last word, Knight.
Excellent. Thanks again for tuning in, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got a lot more action to bring you next week, and we'll see you all next week. Good night, everybody.